Once again, welcome back to the program. ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਾਉਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਮੇਬਲ ਐਨਮੋਰ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਐਮਐਲਏ ਹਨ ਵੈਂਕੂਵਰ ਕੈਂਸਿੰਗਟਨ ਇਲਾਕੇ ਤੋਂ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਇਲਾਕੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਚੈਲੰਜਸ ਲੋਕ ਫੇਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਕ੍ਰਿਟਿਕ ਹਨ ICBC ਦੇ ਅਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਕ੍ਰਿਟਿਕ ਹਨ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ। ਇਸ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਓ ਕੁਝ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੇ ਆ ਮੇਬਲ ਐਨਮੋਰ ਤੋਂ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ।
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome. So how long you have been an MLA and what prompted you to jump into politics?
Well, I was elected in 2009, and this last weekend I held my 4th annual barbecue, so I couldn't believe it. It's coming up just over 3.5 years, and planning to run for re-election in the next provincial election, May 2013.
Right. So, Mabel, what prompted you to jump into this, and why did you select NDP as a party to jump in?
Well, first of all, I didn't think that, when you think what's your career, what do you want to be in life, it never occurred to me to be an elected representative or politician. I think I just came to it gradually, and I was recruited. I was very interested in community issues and involved in many different initiatives, and I was asked to run as a candidate, very concerned about social justice issues and equality, and I think the NDP was closest to my values and my principles. So I was very honored to be asked to run. I won the nomination and won the election in 2009.
Great. So since then, it's been 4 years now, and what kind of work you have done, and if you say you are proud of that, what you brought forward in the Assembly?
Well, I think that it's a great privilege to be elected by my constituents and represent Vancouver Kensington in Victoria. We've had a number of different initiatives, and the last 3.5 years, certainly, I guess, politics in BC never a dull moment. And since we were elected, when the HST was brought in, the NDP and the opposition, we were very active and involved opposing the HST. So as well, I also work with many community groups in the area. And in particular, one issue that's come up that needs a lot of attention, I think, is the plight of temporary foreign workers. Here in BC, we've seen just a great influx. And I think the ministry's numbers, we have 80,000 temporary foreign workers in British Columbia. So it's quite a shocking number.
Yeah, it's quite a large number.
And they're right across British Columbia. I've traveled across BC, met them, in Metro Vancouver, but in the far reaches in the north and every corner of the province. So there are also a lot of individuals who require help and services. Currently, there aren't any services available, so a lot of issues there.
It's a tough job being an MLA, being a public servant, and having to rake up issues which are already existing in the community. But also, what we are finding is over the years, the credibility of the politicians in the eyes of the public is going down. And irrespective of the fact whichever party you belong to, but the people are not having that kind of faith which they used to have. Why do you think that is the reason?
Well, I think you've identified an important issue that many academics and experts are looking at. That's the trend in British Columbia and Canada. We're seeing a declining voter turnout with each election. And that's not isolated to North America. We're seeing that
all across the world.
All across the world.
Right.
And I think it's a challenge that we're confronted with. The NDP, we're very concerned. And our leader, Adrian Dix, has said we want to reverse that trend. Because when we have greater turnout, greater voter participation, and people are concerned about the issues, we're able to make improvements and bring changes in society. This is the history of Canada, how we were successful to bring in Medicare, which is a very valued public service, and as well as many other programs, the Canada Pensions Plan, and other public services. So it's really a challenge for politicians, I think, to rebuild that trust. And I think one of the challenges is that, and Adrian Dix has said, we are going to be running a positive campaign in the election next year, and we want to really offer a positive alternative to give British Columbians something to vote for, and to really engage them in joining us in doing that.
You mentioned in your area there are a lot of small businesses over there. And if you could also talk a little bit about your constituency, what kind of challenges mostly the people are facing over there?
So I have a very diverse constituency, the demographics. It's over 75% are either immigrants or immigrant background. So The first challenge is that language, just being able to communicate with my constituents. I wanted to make sure when I was elected that all my constituents felt that they could come and approach my office and ask for help.
Right.
A big part of that is the ability to communicate. So I've hired a Chinese-speaking staff member.
Right.
We have a very high concentration of Chinese-speaking constituents.
Okay.
And we also do translation services in Punjabi and also in Tagalog, Filipino, the
Right.
three largest groups. So we make a big effort to reach out to those communities and really encourage them to get involved. So I think we're seeing a very positive response.
Okay.
And just to encourage all constituents to, avail of the services, to know that there's support if they have kids in school, and also help is available if they have any questions or concerns.
Okay.
Just last week, I met with a constituent who had the types of problems that come forward to my office. I have an adult education center just down the street from my office.
Right.
And there were a number of students, these are adult students. They're often educated, new immigrants, educated in other countries,
Right.
professionals. They have bachelor and master degrees, but they have to upgrade their skills to be able to get better paying jobs.
Right.
So they approached me recently that they were very concerned the provincial government was going to cut funding to those programs. So I
Okay.
worked with them. We talked to the Minister of Education, and I was happy that we were able to get some results to
Right.
support students.
Okay, now there are lots of issues and
Yes.
challenges which the people are facing right now.
Yes.
If you form a government in 2013, what would you as an MLA bring forward, and what would be the major priorities for you to bring forward?
Well, Adrian Dix, the leader of the BC-NDP, has said that we're going to focus on some key priorities that we want to develop. The first one is on economic development.
Right.
We need to ensure that BC continues to have a thriving and prosperous economy. And an important component of that is that our workers are skilled and that they have the qualifications to take up the jobs of the future.
Right.
We've heard the BC Business Board say that they're expecting tens of thousands of new jobs in the next few years. And we need to ensure that students and youth and other workers have the skills to be able to avail of those jobs. So
Right.
support for post-secondary education, more apprenticeship, more trades, and also needs-based grants are one component. The other aspect is building a strong economy is to make sure that the BC resources that we are very rich in, our forests, mining, and fisheries, that those are used to create jobs here in British Columbia. So
Okay.
those will be a couple of the key focuses.
Great. And as a deputy critic for finance, where do you see this government has gone right or wrong, and from what perspective would you like to bring that forward, and how there can be some change in it?
Well, I also participate on the finance committee, and so we travel around the province and we hear submissions from businesses, industry, from municipalities, organizations about their concerns. I think one of the most important principles that we need to do, and we need to see the government practice, which they don't have a great record, is reliability.
Right.
Doing what they're going to say, and also having that accountability. So an example of that is the HST.
Right.
Another example of that is on the executive compensation that we've heard
Yeah.
that's really spiraling out of control. I think British Columbians expect, and I think they deserve, to have a government that's going to work hard, have the credibility, and manage the Crown corporations and manage the ministries in a competent
Right,
fashion.
and towards the end, regarding ICBC, you talked about the executive, doles which are being forwarded. So, as a critic for ICBC, also, how do you feel this row which is continuing? From what perspective you look into it?
Well, there was the audit recently on ICBC, and it found that costs were there were not cost measures in place,
Right.
and that costs were escalating for executive compensation, so that's senior staff. And over the past 5 years, ICBC has hired many more senior staff, paid
Right.
them more money, cut back on the number of employees, so they have more senior staff, supervising fewer employees, and that's a problem. So ICBC is going to fix that and
Right.
address that, and that's, I think, also a disappointment. I was disappointed that the government allowed that condition to really continue for
Right.
5 years. They didn't have a clue what was going on there.
Mabel, thank you very much for your time, and we hope if you form the government next year, whatever promises you are promising over here, you fulfill those so that the public gets some better treatment from the government side. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.